And welcome back to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience podcast right now. This is your host, Chris. We got my boy Jesse here. What's up, dude?
What up? How's it going, guys?
And we have a special guest on this show. We have Chaney, the vocalist of Entheos. What's up? How you doing?
Yo, I'm doing good. Just drinking my morning coffee, you know.
So where are you calling in from right now?
I live in Santa Cruz, California.
Oh, nice. Okay, so West Coast over here. Yeah, we're based out of New Jersey. So I just finished watching some hockey right now. I was like really pumped for it.
What part of Jersey do you guys live in?
Bergen County.
Yeah, like northern. We're basically right by like New York City. You can get from where we are to New York in like 20 minutes, like 10 minutes.
Okay. Naveen, his aunt and uncle and cousins live in Asbury Park.
There we go.
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
What a great place.
I have time there, dude. I love Asbury. I would love to be there right now. I'm sure it's hot. Like where we live in Santa Cruz, it's Northern California, and I know that there's this. Everyone's under the impression that it's always hot in California, but where I live, it's almost never hot. I live like half a mile away from the ocean. So we're constantly getting that ocean breeze, and I would just love to be in Asbury soaking up the rays on the beach right now.
I always like wonder because you never hear too much about Northern California, especially like me. I never freaking travel, so I go off literally what people say. So it's like I always like you always hear about it's so hot. It's like I always wonder, it's like especially when you get closer to like Washington, like Seattle and stuff like that. It's like pretty cold, right? Like especially during the winter.
Well, inland it can get warm, but along the ocean, specifically in like San Francisco, it's always windy. Like even this time of year, if I go to the city, I'm taking like a heavy coat.
Oh, jeez.
And in Santa Cruz, it'll be hot from like maybe noon to 5. We get like super hot weather, but the rest of the day it's chilly, which is fine. You know, I grew up in Iowa, so I know all about humidity and stuff, and I was okay saying goodbye to all of that. But but it's hard right now when it's August, like the middle of summer everywhere else, and it's freezing here. I almost forget, you know, the weather that everyone else is going through, or that it's summer at all. It's a weird thing.
Well, you also lose that when you move away, right? Because I always wondered that, like, because I know people like friends that moved to like Florida, and like Florida's known, like people who like we had like a school that visited New Jersey for some reason from Florida, and they're all wearing jackets, and it's like 60 degrees or 50 degrees, or like the fuck I wear shorts at like 40. It's not like bragging, but it's like it's just cold as shit up here, and I'm like I wonder if you lose that when you go to Florida. You're like get jackets when it's like 60 or 70 degrees. Like, oh, it's chilly out. I'm like, I'm sweating to death at 50. I'm like, dude, it's too hot, dude. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, you totally lose it. Because I remember that. It's like when I was in school, when spring would come around and it would finally hit like 50, everyone was in shorts. It was shorts and a sweatshirt. You know, there's a fashion that goes along with that. But here you totally forget about that. 50 degrees, I'm wearing a parka pretty much.
That kills me with the podcast. I always like see like podcasts, like a lot of like podcasts in California, and I'll notice like, they show up in a jacket too. I'm like, yeah, it's like 85 degrees outside. I'm like, what? I'm like, am I just fat or something? Like, what is like? Do I just get normally hotter than everyone? Like, everyone's skinny as fuck or something? Like,
you're the guy who wore shorts to the In Flames concert in New York City when it was like mid-December.
That was a bad move.
Shorts and t-shirt.
I learned. That was because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get inside and the pit's gonna be really hot. And then we stayed in line for like 2 hours. I was like, oh shit, I didn't think I'd be with the weather for this long.
Yeah, one time when I was a kid, I stood in line for a Slipknot show. I was like, my best friend and I were like the first couple of people in line, and I stood in line for like 6 hours in Iowa in the freezing cold and rain. That was like the roughest shit. I don't even know, why do kids do that? Why
it's not worth it.
What year was that?
It must have been like 05.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The Volume 3 kind of like tour then.
Yeah, I think it was actually right after that came out. It was with Shadows Fall and Lamb of God. So yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, dude, Lamb of God was like my bread and butter. That was my first like Randy Blythe, one of my very first very huge vocal influences. So I was really at the show for Lamb of God. And it was crazy. I mean, we like had to run up front to the barrier, my best friend and I, and we're really small. He's a small dude, and we just got pushed up to the barricade. And I remember leaving the show and I had a barricade bruise all across the front. It was fucking insane. But I caught, I think it was Willie's guitar pick.
Oh, so, that's so awesome.
It was all worth it. Yeah. Yeah, it was insane.
Dude, that's gangster. Also, there we go. Lamb of God, the Shadow. I would have been there for. I love Slipknot, but Lamb of God will be like my favorite band. It's like them and Killswitch for some reason. I can't choose between the two, but fuck. Yeah, it's not worth it when you grow up. Like how many times we used to we have to get to the line 2 hours, and it's like, dude, I still see all the bands if I show up 20 minutes before. Like you just get in.
Well, yeah. Like nowadays, I'm not trying to be up front anymore. I like to stand in back with a beer in my hand and make sure that no one's gonna like spill my beer or anything. Yeah. I just like to watch a show now now that I'm older.
I even go to the balconies now too if they have them. I try to go because like you get to see everything then, you know.
Fuck yeah, and it's funny that you say that because I remember specifically this Slipknot show. My parents had bought the tickets for us. And they bought us the wrong tickets. Instead of buying general admission, they bought us balcony seats. So I pulled this crazy shit and like stole my mom's debit card out of her purse so that I could call Ticketmaster and get our tickets changed to general admission. And nice. I like somehow pulled it off. And yeah, so it's
That's
funny
awesome.
That now I'd like be on a balcony willingly. But back then I was like, fuck this. What? I can't go to this. Oh.
Yeah, I could totally relate to that because I always try to get to the front every time. I always try to when I think the worst one was Machine Head and Slayer. Those two, the Slayer pit broke out right where I was, and I had no idea. It was my first time seeing Slayer, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting close to the rail, and then I'm in the pit. I'm like, oh god.
Oh man, that's rough.
Why is that fat muscular guy with a bald head screaming Slayer in my face and making me scared? Get away.
That Jim Brewer joke is so relevant.
Well, that's we bring this story always up on the podcast. Chris is going to get mad for me to bring it up again. But we saw this band. We saw Code Orange, right? And we saw this band Vane opened up. And it was like the moment I realized I grew up or maybe I became too old. Even though I'm like still in my 20s, but I guess like just randomly like my mind. Like we saw Vane, and usually the first two bands, like no one gives a fuck. There's a few people that come for the band, and like I was like, oh, I want to see these guys. I went up front, and then it's like a hardcore band opened up immediately. First note, all three of us get punched directly in the face, and we're like, what the fuck? And I was like, usually I got to warm up for this shit, and I would just like became like survival, running around the pit, and we survive. And basically this lady's like, who wants VIP? And we're like, us, $50, no problem. I was like, and we just sit up there with
free drinks out of it too.
Oh, yeah, that's not.
I felt like kind of a bitch, but I was like, fuck that. I got punched in the ear. I don't need that shit right now. I just want to watch the show.
Yeah, that's VIP section is where I'm trying to be. Naveen and I were just, my fiance and I were just talking about this because one of my favorite bands on earth is this band called Fever Ray. You probably haven't heard of them, but there's a band called The Knife, and the vocalist of The Knife has a solo project called Fever Ray.
Okay.
Anyway, I somehow won VIP tickets to one of their shows last year. And so when you got VIP, you get put in this nice middle section where no one else is, in like a House of Blues type venue. And you just there's a waitress who comes and gives you drinks, takes your orders. And the other day we were just saying how that's the ideal show going experience for us now that we're in our 30s and
it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's I can't for some reason. Do you get this because you're used to Mel shows? Do you get this especially waiters? I've only been to a few where something like that was like that. I was like, what the fuck? It's weird asking for a drink and someone just bring it to you at a concert. I want to see that amphitheaters where I'm like, the fuck? I don't lose my spot. I can just go. Yeah. You have to do the work.
It's super weird, but I mean, especially with this whole 6-foot social distancing thing, hopefully they start to integrate that more into venues because I would love to not have to leave my spot.
Have you seen pictures of the new shows coming? I think Destruction played a show in Switzerland, and some other bands have played with with social distancing and all that.
No, I haven't seen anything. I think my parents or someone went to a show a couple of weeks ago. They're still in Iowa, so the rules are a little different than they are in California.
Oh, was that the Immunity Herd Fest that they changed names?
just went to it was like some like cover band show, but they were still doing the same social distancing thing, and the pictures that I saw from that were weird, but it did seem like everyone was kind of keeping their distance. It's just weird to see, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of the negative though with metal. Like I think it was Lamb of God, Randy. He kind of like said, he's like, yeah, you can't really do a metal hardcore show because it's like people are just gonna rip the seats up. Some kids are like, I have to run at the stage, so it's like, and then eventually it's like, well, we're pitting now, and then all of a sudden everyone rips their masks off and they're pitting. It's like, okay, well,
it only takes 1 or 2 guys to do that, you know, to start it.
Well, I mean, it's a part of our culture. That's like, that's a part of how you show that you are really into a band in our world. And it will be strange having to see and perform shows without that element of it. So I'm really interested to see where this all goes when metal shows do make a comeback, because, you know, we're kind of on the lower spectrum of the tours that are really important in the music world, you know?
Yeah.
But for lack of a better way to put it, it's like it's generally smaller crowds. So it's not bringing in as much money. And therefore, because of the venues that we're playing, I mean, how do you take a venue that's got like a 300 cap and put social distancing in it? You'll be able to fit 30 people in the show. And then how do you pay bands to tour when only 30 people can come into? It's just this whole string that we're going to have to pull, and it's going to come with weird stuff, and everyone's going to have to bend and twist with all of these new rules as they come. But it's going to be interesting to see how it goes and when touring actually comes back for bands that are, you know, in metal and playing those lower cap venues.
Yeah, you know what I think though, I could be wrong here, but like listening to your music, and I've seen you guys live, I think you got one benefit is that you guys are a heavy band, but you're kind of like on the technical aspect. So it does kind of that thing where it's like maybe people don't like, I don't think I need to mosh to you guys. Like I can just enjoy. I'm like, wow, these are fucking good. Like kind of like a Between the Buried and Me kind of deal where it's like, it's probably not as fun for you guys to watch, but I think that's one benefit you guys might have, especially being in that genre where it's like, you know, you guys are like bending with like kind of like technical, like kind of death metal shit, like, you know, where it's like circle pits. It's like, nah, we're good. We're just gonna watch these guys like shred. Like,
yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. It's like, and there are some shows where I can look in the crowd and I know people are totally into it, but there isn't as much moshing. And then there are shows where the whole room is going ape shit and it's like we're a hardcore band, you know? So you're right. We do have that benefit. We're kind of like, we're on the prog spectrum and we've got like that ethereal thing going with our music. So it doesn't necessarily bother me when people just watch. So I don't think that's a deterrent for me, but I could see for like, you know, a band like Vane, like you were just talking about, that would be really weird to go see those bands live and no one's moving. What else do you do? Hardcore?
They want pure violence. Like the guy even said it. Like I saw a dude it almost looked like Donkey Kong. Like the guy picked up another guy like a barrel and threw him at the crowd. And the guy just stared at it. And he's like, kick that shit up. I was just like, all right, this isn't ending. So I was like, let's get back in. The guys like, survive. And they were sick. But fuck. Yeah. I was like, yeah, no, that ain't happening now. Like, and I'm all right with that.
They're Vane FM now.
They're what?
Did you see that they're known as Vane.fm?
Oh, they changed their...
All right.
Yeah, they released like a new remix kind of album for stuff, and yeah, apparently they're like, oh, we're now Vane FM. I was like, okay.
I really like that. Oh, you always want the one. Why would you add some at the end of your name? When you get the 4-letter word as your name, that's kind of perfect. Like who doesn't know how to spell Vane?
Thing.
Trademark or apparently that happened to Static X. I didn't know that either. They tried to go out of Static. Yeah, apparently they tried that, but they couldn't, so that's why they added the X. That's what someone told me.
So what's your?
It happened. Oh, go ahead.
What's your go-to like ripcord name in case Entheos ever gets taken away? Entheos.p. something.
Entheos. I have no idea. Entheos. Fuck, I hope that never happens. Man, thinking of a band name or adding stuff to a band name, that's like the hardest thing to do in a band. It's the worst part of being in a band. Once you get over that, so I'm trying to just chill with Entheos forever.
Well, you guys nailed it too. You're one of those bands where if you do a quick Google search, only you guys come up. You know, what I mean, there's some bands where you search their name, like if you do Vane or something, it's not always like clear. You know,
Or just a word rope, just like, oh great.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it works in both ways because Entheos is sometimes hard for some people to pronounce or spell. But on the other hand, what you're saying is right, where it's like, if you look us up, we're the only one. So, you know, it's a give and take situation, but I really like our name. I mean,
It is dope.
Yeah, in my mind, it stands for everything that our band is, because Entheos is a real word. It means full of God. And it's the root word for enthusiasm. And, you know, we're really into philosophical stuff, and the full of God. Really what it just means is that, you know, embracing the God within. You are the creator of your own shit. So yeah, I love our band name, and it goes along with us really well. But, you know, sometimes people pronounce it differently or can't spell it, and I'm like, fuck.
What's the worst way you got that? Because as someone with a last name, I've like that's spelled weird. Like people have murdered my last name, and it's always fun. Like, what was like what the worst way? Someone's like Entheos, like just like I can't even spell it. I've been thinking of your name so much, so it's like I can't mess it up. But what's like the worst way? Like,
I mean, people will say like Athenos or you know, just like weird stuff like that. But the precursor to this should be my first name is Chaney. So imagine how many times in my life I've heard things. I've heard like names associated with me mispronounced. So I'm so used to it at this point in my life. But, you know, European people tend to call us Entheos, which is cool. Yeah, I kind of like it. So mostly it's just in spellings. Like I'll see us written out on and it's like Enethaose.
Yeah, it sounds like something I would do. Sorry. I could say you guys' name all day, but I'd just be like, fuck.
See, I'm on the other side where I can't pronounce anyone's names right.
Yeah.
You can't.
I'm so bad at it. Actually, I was trying to pronounce the last band we had, the Exile Martyr. I was trying to say their album title, and I totally butchered it. Novum Phenum. I got it now, though. I got it now.
We make up one person. Oh. Novum Phenum? What is it called again, Chris?
Novum Phenum.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can't. Novum Phenum. Does that mean something?
It's Latin for something or another.
Yeah, Latin. It's something beginning end, something like that. I'm sorry, guys, if I got it wrong.
Yeah, we didn't take Latin in high. Well, I took Latin in high. I failed Latin in high school, so I don't know what. Just so stupid.
But let's speak about a little bit about new Entheos music, because you guys dropped a song, I think, a couple months ago in April. Remember, You Are Dust. So is that going to be off like a new album or an EP you're working on?
No, that's actually just a one-off single. Naveen and I just wanted to put out a song. You know, we were going through this thing where we were about to go on 2 months worth of touring. Our guitar player had just left the band. So we were like, fuck it, let's put out a song, just the two of us, to embark on this new journey of being a new kind of band. And then all touring crashed. So we just have a single out and, you know, so no, that's just a one-off. I think we might put out another single or two before the end of the year, but we are simultaneously working on an album. Actually, Naveen's in the other room working on it right now. We've got probably a good 25 minutes worth of material written. I've been demoing vocals, and basically we're writing like a 2-part album right now. So it's we're being really meticulous about the way that we're timing it out and writing the entire thing, because the first half is like an 18-minute song. We're going to break it up into separate songs, but it's meant to be played front to back, and the second half will be like that as well. So we've got a lot of ideas in mind for our next release, but really our thought going into 2020 was just you know, we aren't on the label that we were on when we put out Dark Future. So we saw this year as an opportunity to put out some stuff on our own, just so that we could, you know, Remember Your Dust, we completely own it. So I think we'll do that with a few more songs and then start looking into labels maybe for putting our next record out on. But yeah, we're really excited about what we're doing. It's a little different than Entheos. I think that we're pushing even further into the prog direction of our band. But yeah, I'm like beyond excited about it. And I think that I'll probably be singing for the first time in our band.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really exciting, and Naveen and I are simultaneously working on stuff with other bands. So it's been a really exciting creative year.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Is this like because I don't know, like I always wondered actually, because now that you guys are just the two members, right? It's just two of you. And
yeah,
how long you guys been like dating, right? You guys have been writing music together in the band like this for a while. Like has it been kind of hard? I've like wondered this work because you guys live together. Is like, do you turn on and off like writing music? Does like, because I can see the benefits. Like, oh, we can literally just like at 10 at night, it's like we have a riff. Get in the room. We must write this now. It's like, but it's like I can also see like that might get like fucked up. It's like it's 1 a.m. I don't want to do this. Like, it's like for the love of God. Do you see any like negatives or benefits since you guys have like started just grinding away at doing this like together in one roof?
No, there really not been many negatives.
That's awesome.
Naveen and I have been together for 10 years. So when the band started, we'd already been together for 5 years. And the way we'd been, you know, operating on our own, doing our own thing. We've both always played music. We met because my band was opening for Animals as Leaders. So it's been like a thing that's existed in our relationship since the beginning.
Oh, that's awesome.
And as time went on, Naveen actually is the one who wanted to start our band. And, you know, I was a little hesitant about it at first, just because Naveen is he's pretty well known in the metal world. And I kind of wanted to like do my own thing before we started a band together. I didn't want this to just be, oh, she's like only in this band because she's with him. And you know, I didn't want it to be some bullshit like that. So I was a little hesitant at first. And I felt like I kind of was starting to like make my own name for myself when we started this band. But anyway, to get back to your point, it's like Naveen writes the music mostly on his own. I don't really have a part in writing the riffs and that type of thing for our band. I have say in it. So whatever he writes, I have a lot of input. I don't think this sounds good there. I think this should go there. However, the way that we work in the band is very much a yin yang, because I'm over here with the lyrics, the vocals, the artistic side of the band, the visual aspects, and Naveen is the guy behind all of our music. He always has been. This isn't anything new. Like, he's always been the primary songwriter of our band. So, and you know, we're both psychopaths. We work on music all the time. It's not weird.
It's a great term.
Whether it's for our own band or another band to at 1 o'clock in the morning be writing music. Like, that's just something that we do anyway. So it's very natural. And what is cool about it is that when we get home from tour or when we're writing, we don't have to turn that off to like participate in our relationship with someone who has no fucking idea what's going on in our musical lives. So that's been a really awesome aspect of being together and doing this band together, is that it's very much our baby. And, you know, I'm not going to say that we haven't like had our spats over the band and things like that. But at the end of the day, Naveen and I are very good at like getting over any disagreement that we've been in quickly. Our like any disagreement doesn't last very long, and it's really helped in the whole band process. So really, it's just like being in a band with your very, very best friend in the entire world, who we have so many artistic ideas in common that it's been like a totally awesome and relationship that's only flourished over time, really.
Do you think you guys would stay as a duo?
Do I think we'll stay as a duo? Well, that, you know, I don't know. I think that ideally we would both really like for Evan to play bass. So I don't really know where that will go. If he'll end up playing bass on our new stuff or not. We do have a guitarist who is the guy who's going to be playing with us live and going with us. And I don't know how that will integrate over time. He's a very good friend of ours. He lives in Santa Cruz. He's the person who Naveen has been playing with the longest in his life. And he just kind of fits in really well with us. So, you know, I think we're going to stay as just me and Naveen for a while, but I'm never going to say we're definitely going to stay this way, because the way that our band has been such like an ebb and flow process. And it's just the nature of technical metal. We don't go on tour and come home with $100,000 in each of our pockets. So it's hard for people, especially if you're not the primary songwriter, to stay on the journey all throughout the lifespan of the band. So it's just natural in the kind of music I play for the band members to alternate. But one thing's for sure, that Naveen and I will forever always be in the band, and whatever else happens, I really can't give a definitive answer. I don't know.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's good to hear, because I was like, always when I was like, that's the only thing I could even think of possibly is like, I was like, yeah, but that's good to hear. I'm glad the core of Entheos will stay strong. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
Because I always heard you guys had like members coming in and out. I was like, what the fuck's happening? I was like,
you know,
that sucks.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. It's like, we aren't on bad terms with anyone who's been in our bands. Like Evan is like our brother, you know, Travis is our brother. It just so happens that as you go along with life, not everyone wants to ride out the journey till the end. And it's been those guys made a very hard decision for themselves when they decided to not play with our bands anymore. It wasn't like a fuck you, you know, that's just not, the band has never been that way. And I'm sure that people assume, because, you know, that when members change that it's under bad terms or something, but it's like, as you go into your 30s, it's harder to stay 100% into something that isn't necessarily making you a shitload of money. So yeah, it's just how it goes. You see it with all kinds of bands as well. Members change all
every
the
time I die with their drummer. Literally, I think they've had like 7 drummers. Like,
yeah.
And actually, you brought up a point I never even thought about. I don't know why. It's pretty logical now that you said it. But like, yeah, when band members come into like a medium tier band, it's like, oh, well, you guys have like 5 albums and my name's not on any of them. So I'm just kind of here, like playing guitar for like, I was like, yeah, it might be why some bands like, they just don't keep certain members. It's weird. Like every time I die with drummer, I forgot who. I think Unearth, like most of their band, like another drummer band. Yeah, they literally just went through like 7 drummers. Like what's happening? Like, yeah, Trivia too.
It's just the nature of the game, you know? I mean, even people in huge bands quit. Touring is not for everyone. Touring is very hard, especially if you're not in a situation like me. I get to go on tour with my significant other. So Naveen and I have always been very aware of how hard it is for the other members of our band to leave their spouses and everything behind to go tour in a van. And it's like, the lifestyle just gets really hard for people, no matter the size of the band you're in. If you're in a bus and it looks like this person is handed everything on a daily basis, it's hard to be away from home. It's hard to miss birthdays and important things and rarely see your family. So, you know, it sometimes takes a while to find the right people.
Yeah. Well, that's why, was it Periphery? That's why they never got another bassist. They were like, we like found the perfect synergy with our band. It's like, we can't just add another random person, hope that it works out. It's like, we'll just play his stuff through the,
I think Nolly still writes with them though, right?
Yeah.
He produces them.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find new band members, man. It's hard to bring in a person and expect them to jive with your band in the same way.
Yes.
Well, even just jamming in a room. Like, I just had some random guy like, hey, do you want to play? Yeah. And I'm just like 20 minutes. I'm like, this kind of sucks. Imagine like being on tour for like a month. I'm like, I don't even know how to get this guy out of my house. Like, I was like back when the drums were at my house. I was like, ah, shit.
Exactly. And now pretend that your house is a van and you're 10 days into the tour with someone who, it's like sometimes you just go on tour with someone who you've kind of barely met and and you maybe have met them at a show and you're like, that guy fucking rules. You get on tour with him for 5 days and you're like, this motherfucker won't stop smoking cigarettes and blowing them into my face. He smells, it's like,
Yeah.
it's hard to like people a lot and want to be around them at all, let alone for fucking 30 days straight, day and night. You have to really love someone to be able to put up with them for that long. So it's tedious.
Yeah. It's also like, I wonder what's worse is like the abrupt wake up call that this person sucks, or the slow burn. It's like, all right, picks his nose. That's weird. That's kind of gross, but I guess I could deal with it. All right, farts a lot. All right, is that guy pissing on my stuff? Is he jerking off back there? Stop it! This guy is awful.
I'll tell you from, oh shit, you're not in focus, but I'll tell you from experience, it's the slow burn.
That's slow burn? Yeah.
The slow burn is the person who's I'm still like, man, fuck that guy. But
And then it's nice. It's like, yeah, you're really fun. Next day, no, you still suck. What's happening?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's awful. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Well, at least you guys are still like strong, like what we call foundation. Because again, you guys are sick. And I remember like, actually, I always wondered this too, because you probably, maybe I'm just poor and didn't do my research. But I was like, I always wondered when you said you wanted to make your own way in your career. I think you came onto my radar back when you tried out for Veil of Maya, right? That was like, was that like the immediate, like you saw it immediate like raise in like popularity with just your name, where you were like how did that change? Is that the reason why you were all right with starting Entheos? Because you're like, well, I kind of like got my name out there. Now it's time to like get at it.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because that was definitely one of the reasons. So when that happened, Naveen had just left on tour. He was doing a solo project for a while called Naveen K, and he had just flown to Europe the day after I posted that to tour with Animals as Leaders in Tesseract. And yeah, I woke up the next day and my name was all over Revolver, and my video all of a sudden had over 100,000 plays in a day, and it was kind of crazy. And that is definitely, that's not the reason I felt comfortable, but it was definitely one of the stepping stones onto my way to being like, okay, now I'm Chaney Crabb. I'm not Naveen's girlfriend who's in a band. And it helped out a lot, man. I mean, there's still people like you who are like, I heard of you through that Veil of Maya audition. And there were a lot of people who were in like bigger bands who were really trying to help me get that part in Veil of Maya. And even people at Sumerian. And so I did feel like I was kind of earning my keep through doing that. So yeah, definitely.
Well, crushed. I remember like watching, I was just sitting, I think like literally I was just kind of lazy around my like room. And I was like, all right, cool. New singer. Let's check. Like, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, all right, it's not just some person in their room just losing their mind. I was like, oh shit, she's really good. Like, because like at the time, like everyone posted like a thing. It was like, oh, I'm fucking John, and he's in his wife beater with a fucking his underwear with no microphone, just screaming at a phone. I'm like, wow, this sucks. Like,
yeah, dude, totally. And it's funny because I watched that video like a month or two ago, and I was like, fuck, I sound like shit. I could do it so much better now. But hey, it did its job. That's for sure.
Well, it's like, yeah, and also just doesn't happen too. Like, I always feel bad. Like, well, it's like, actually, I think it probably ended up better for you in the long run anyways. Like, because Entheos is dope. And if you joined Veil Maya, it would have been like, all right, so we just don't get Entheos now. We just get some weird bastardized version down the road of just whatever happens with those ideas. But it's like, yeah, like I always feel bad because like usually you see like when like guitarists or drummers fall out, they always like the big bands, everyone just loads up covers. It's like, oh, Slipknot, remember me? Like when Joey Jordison left, like everyone posted Slipknot covers, like they actually watch YouTube for their drummers. They don't have like an industry behind them to find the best drummers ever.
Right.
And I was like, oh, it worked out great. Like that's why I was so happy when Entheos happened. I was like, oh, she caught a band and she's like going big. I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
I was like,
hell yeah. I mean, it was weird posting that cover. It's really the only cover to this day I've ever posted to the internet. And I didn't expect I didn't expect to like actually try out for the band and do that stuff. So that was cool. But at the end of the day, I think that Lucas should be the vocalist of Veil of Maya. It's not necessarily like, I think that what they're doing is great. It's not necessarily the band that I personally want to be in. So it really all worked out for the best.
Yeah. Also, they took like a hard left turn too. Like when I actually really to be fair to them, like I liked Veil Maya before, but I kind of I like them more now. Like that guy's voice, it's like what the fuck? Because I thought they were just going to continue on doing what they did, which is sick riffs, like just hard ass music, like fast and technical. It's like, oh shit, like this dude's got a voice of an angel. What the fuck?
It's a huge Spencer vibe. Spencer from Periphery. I get like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I think that Spencer actually produced at least that first stuff from what I remember. So that totally
makes sense then.
Yeah, but when I tried out for the band, God, I can't remember the first song that they put out with Lucas on it. I think it's called maybe Phoenix. Is that the song?
Was it that or Mikasa? I thought that was the one that was the first one I heard at least.
Mikasa, you're right. So that was the song that they sent me to try out over as well. So I'd heard it, before it was put out. And I was like, okay, this is an interesting direction. But yeah, they told me that they wanted singing and everything. So I was interested to hear what Lucas was going to do over it. And I think he fucking killed it. And since then, we've been on tour with Veil, I think 2 or 3 times. And to me, it's like, that's the band they should be now. And I enjoy what they do. But like I said, it's just not what I want to play. Yeah. So I think that it all ended very well.
Yeah, I think it actually, perfectly. Because I was like, yeah, it's also just, again, crazy, like, with stuff like that. Because, like, you don't see people, like, you kind of posted the perfect cover. Like, literally, you could be like, if your ego is huge, you could just be like, technically, I'm the best person to ever do a cover. Why? I got famous immediately, and I never had to do another one. So I just went and actually made music. So see you guys. Peace. Just leave. Yeah. And I'm like, it doesn't happen.
I am very happy about that I didn't plan out not posting covers, but I am glad that I ran with doing my own material over being like a YouTube cover person, just because I'm not like a cover person. I create art. The cover thing, like I genuinely wanted to join the band at the time, and that's why I did it. But power to people. There are a ton of people out there getting famous off
so
of
talented
covers, and so power to them. It's just not my personal thing.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like there's so like you said, literally insane amount of people. Like every day, like I tried to learn guitar, so I've been watching a lot more guitar YouTubers and stuff, and it just, I don't know if it's like good or bad for my mentality, but I just like, how is there just another one of these guys and girls? Like just every single TikTok or Instagram video, I'm just like, oh, this person's a professional level person. All right. This person's professional. It's like, and they're just in their home in their underwear crushing it. I'm like, I don't know why everyone in my stories is in their underwear. Maybe because I hang out. But like, yeah, they're just like chilling out. Like, yeah, I'll just do this for shits and giggles. And just like, I'm like, all right, cool.
Covers done well though are awesome. Like I think Anoth Rock, if I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry again. They did Power Slave. We were talking about the last time, and that was really cool because they did it in their like extreme death metal style. So
that's sick.
Yeah, it was like a really cool turn on it. Would you ever change like a song into like an Entheos type version?
Oh yeah, we've talked about doing cover songs before. I would really like to cover like a Cannibal song, a death song. I think would be rad. Yes. I don't know how much we'd have to change those songs, but I would love to do even a classic rock cover or something, and I'm sure we will someday. But so I'm not against that type of cover thing, but what I don't want to be is like someone who's pumping out a new cover every week and putting on YouTube. That's just not my shit.
Also, big tip, if you ever do a cover, well, actually, I don't want to take the option off the table for you guys. Avoid Deftones, because those fans are brutal. How dare you? You're not Chino. Just like, oh my God. I'm like, this is a pretty good cover. Go to the comments and they're just rip. I'm like, oh, you guys are dicks. Like, we get it.
I mean, Chino does.
Deftone fans get brutal.
He has a distinct voice, and it gets weirder. The voice is an interesting instrument because no one's is the same. No one's voice is the same, no matter how hard you try, no matter how many similarities you hear. And it's always going to sound a little different if you cover a Deftones song or if you cover a Tool song or whatever. So people I think are just going to be assholes about it.
Yeah.
And it's the nature of the internet, so it's like times 2.
It's brutal.
But a cover's a cover. I mean, you kind of have to take it like I'm hearing a different band just do a rendition of, rather than I'm listening to a band try to copy exactly what Chino sounds like. Or
Yeah, I think people don't do that. I think they literally go in, I guess I'm listening to Passenger. Let's see how this sounds. That's not Deftones. I thought they were kidding when they said it was a cover. I thought they just sound like Deftones.
Right. But I mean, dude, okay, so let's look at like a classic rock example of that. So Joni Mitchell wrote the song Woodstock. I don't know if you guys listen to Joni Mitchell, but Crosby, Stills, and Nash are actually who made Woodstock, that song, famous. I hate their version of it. I fucking hate their version of Woodstock, but it got really famous. And I love Joni's version, but it's like that's the difference between two people playing one song. It's drastically different, and it should be taken in each person's style, because that's what a cover is. That's why I never really understand when I hear a cover that's an exact replica of the original song, because it's like, well, I mean, how did you make this your own?
Yeah, it's totally true too. It's also like, because you can't buy a different voice. You're born with it, like you said. That's why like people who like even don't sing, but they sing, and someone's like, you suck. It's like, you're not a singer, but your ego is like, I'm sorry. It's just like, oh, that's my body. That's not just the guitar. That's not just like a drum or something that sucks. It's like it's almost like my throat sucks. Thanks, you asshole. Like,
totally. Yeah, it's a little more offensive. But the interesting thing with a voice is that a lot of these people who are super famous singers aren't very good singers. They have distinct voices and they make it work. It's like some of the best. I mean, is Bob Dylan a good singer? Fuck no.
He's terrible.
Fuck no. But I just went down to the pumpkin patch, and he's got the Bob Dylan thing, and that's what you're there to hear. You're there to hear like the poetry with like the whole aspect. Like, there are very good singers. Obviously, there are incredible singers, and there are people who definitely should never grab a microphone because they're so tone deaf. But there is this world of people who it's like, if you hear them out of context, they're not good singers, but they're great in the band that they're in or doing the thing that they're doing.
Yeah, the attitude and energy put into it. Like almost all punk singers.
Yeah.
It's like, and then it's like the Dead Kennedys guy. Oh, no. It's like, what the fuck? And it just sounds awesome. But you just hear that dude's like, hey, can you sing like My Heart Will Go On? It's like, no. It's like, I would suck. It's like, I'm like, yeah, but people get offended when he's like, oh, it's like he's amazing in contact, like you said. Like, some guy broke that down. Was it the punk rock MBA guy? He like broke it down. He's like, yeah, these singers are really good in your genre, but like don't compare them to like Ariana Grande or something. It's like you might not like that pop music, but like most of those pop singers are really good. They might not create their music, but like they're like talented wise, but it's like in your genre too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking before, you said that you had you're gonna do like clean vocals on the new record.
Yes.
So is what kind of like inspired you to do that?
I've always known, like I've always had that in my back pocket as something that I would probably pull out eventually. Just the nature of the material. I've kind of been waiting for a time where I heard Entheos material and I was like, this is when I'm gonna bust it out. And this new stuff has really spoken to me in that way. And, just growing up, feeling more comfortable with, I want there to be a diverse vocal landscape on Entheos. And yeah, so that's what inspired me. I just haven't really felt like anything in the past really called for it. Aside from like pitched screaming that I do. So yeah, just right time, right place, really.
Who influenced you? Like, you mentioned like Randy, like Lamb of God and stuff like that. Was it Randy?
To sing? No.
Yeah.
I probably don't like any of Lamb of God's material where Randy is singing.
Overlord?
Or I haven't heard it. I'm trying to think of what I've heard. I think the only song I've really heard is that Redneck song, because I'm like an early school Lamb of God fan.
Redneck is pretty, yeah. Sacrament, what was that 2003? 2005?
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
2005. Well, no, like you're talking about singing?
Yeah.
Yeah, singing he only did, I think he only did like 3 tracks. Like 2 he sang and 1 he talked. Like King Me, talked.
Yeah.
Not going to do a dissertation on Lamb of God. But like actually 2017. Yeah, no, I'll just start like, I got to shut up now or I'll just start talking about Lamb of God. So why did
Well,
Chaney
good
talk
that we
about
got-
Lamb of God for an hour? It's like my fault.
No, but I mean, there wasn't anyone in particular that inspired me. I've always been like, I listen to a lot of sung stuff. I mean, if you come into my house, most of what I'm listening to nowadays is Erykah Badu, Joni Mitchell, classic rock shit. I just like singing. There wasn't necessarily like one person who I'm like, they're singing in their band now, so I have to as well.
It's the
just
moment.
Yeah, I like a lot of metal that's like that too. You know, Cynic is one of my favorite bands.
So good.
Yeah, and before I've experimented a bit with vocoder. Like I did that on Dark Future.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to venture into clean singing with vocoder as well. So it's just a culmination of my life rather than being directly inspired by another vocalist to do it.
Would you say it's more nerve-wracking to like, because it's kind of weird like between screaming and singing, because like screaming it's like people might not like it because like, well, they're not into metal, but like singing everyone's got an opinion about singing. It's like, do you get more nervous about the idea, well, like screaming or singing kind of idea?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't really get nervous about it. As long as I'm fully confident in what I'm putting out, there aren't really nerves attached to it, because it's like, if I like what I did, you can't really hurt me. There are a lot of people who I've heard don't like the vocoder stuff that I did, and I don't give a fuck at all. Like, I'm still gonna do more. That made me want to do more of it. So
Yeah.
No, that was a great touch to the album.
Thank you. I love, you know, I was talking about Fever Ray earlier. Karen from Fever Ray uses a ton of vocoders, and that was an inspiration behind me going into that world. And it's just like, you know, I like to experiment. I like to do stuff and throw it at a wall and see if it sticks. And at the end of the day, what really matters is whether I like it or not. And if I don't like it, I'm not going to continue to do it. And if I do like it, I'm going to do way more of it.
Oh, awesome. That's an adult, mature way of looking at it. It's way better than the other way usually people look at it. Like, they don't like it. Should I scream more or should I sing more? I don't know.
So is this album like?
Would you say that this album is like a similar sound to Dark Future, or is it like really like far away? Like, has it changed a lot?
I would say that this album is like a next logical step to Dark Future. It's kind of a culmination of all of Entheos pushed forward. And it sounds, I don't know if you guys are familiar, Naveen had a project, it's technically his solo project with Johnny Davey from Job for a Cowboy called Flesh Rot. And he was fully responsible for the instrumentation on that. So it's got a lot of that flavor as well. I would say even more than older Entheos has.
Was that the band he was before Animals as Leaders?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to call them like a full-fledged band because they never
like project, right?
Yeah. So he put out that album in 2010. So it's actually like directly while he was in Animals as Leaders.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was
awesome.
He had been working on it when he was in Animosity, and then did that.
Yeah, that was the band. All right, because I remember his name. I was like, what? When he came out of nowhere, I was like, holy shit. And I just kind of like looked him up and was like, where'd he come from? Like, who is this guy with no toms? Just one floor tom.
You know what's funny is I still remember reading the Lamb Goat article that was like, Animosity drummer Naveen Copperweiss joins Animals as Leaders. And I was stoked because far before I knew Naveen, I was a huge fan of Flesh Rot. So.
Oh, man. Also, I got to listen to that, too, because I love Johnny. I was actually just listening to Job for a Cowboy. I was like, what fucking happened? Why did people
They're coming out with a new album now?
They are? Oh, yeah. This is a great day. Talking to great people.
I think
it's recorded, right?
No. I think
okay.
they're recording it.
Okay.
That's
awesome. It's been so long.
Yeah.
It has been a long time, right?
Yeah, it's also just weird, like, that MySpace deathcore stuff. Like, you know, I don't hate it, but, like, people were like, yeah, breakdowns. And then they became, like, a really good technical death metal band, but for some reason that was just no-go. Like, people were like, no, that sucked. Where are the breakdowns? And I'm just like, no, but they're still really good. Like, no, listen to it. And then they just, like they just were never as big. I was like, are you shitting me? Like, they're so good.
Yeah, which is funny because, I mean, Johnny is one of my favorite death metal vocalists. He's fucking incredible. And I really liked the progression. I think that the name of that first EP was the Doom EP.
Yeah.
I thought that the progression was amazing. And, you know, when they brought Nick in on bass for Sun Eater and Danny Walker on drums and stuff, that was a really good record. And I think that a part of the reason that they didn't stay as big is probably because I don't think they've toured off of that album at all. And that, you know, helps keep the momentum. But yeah, I'm really excited to hear their new record. I'm definitely a fan.
That's what bands are talking about now, is that like they're putting out records and they can't tour and support it. So they're getting kind of a little bit worried. So a lot of bands are trying to do like, you know, the live stream shows where they each record off Zoom and then put it up. Like Lamb of God did that and some other bands did that. They're just doing anything they can just to support their releases.
Yeah, man. It's a weird world that everyone's having to become a part of very quickly because no one expected this at all. So, but I think that a lot of bands have been doing a really good job. Black Dahlia Murder, like, they're doing a fucking stand-up job of just staying out there, even though they'd be on a tour cycle right now for Verminous. Seems like they're always doing some form of promotion or something on the internet, and they've done a great job of keeping the momentum up on that album. And, you know, people they're changing with the times, I think.
Yeah, which is awesome. It's just sad that, you know, I have a very short attention span, so I understand like the fact that it's just like it sucks. It's like, it's like because like certain albums come out, people forget about it. Like I even do it. There was an album like 2 months ago. I was like, I'll never stop listening to this, and I've stopped listening. I just went back like last week. I was like, why the fuck did I stop listening to this? It was only a month ago. What happened?
Well, what was it? What was the album?
I think it was, well, actually two, Loathe and Code Orange album. Like literally, I think Loathe is going to be like album of the year. That Loathe, if you never listened to it, I recommend it. And I like just haven't listened to Loathe, and I'm like, the fuck's my problem? I literally like was just playing it and laying on my bed. I'm like, this is amazing. Just let it keep playing.
Just vibing to it in your bed.
Yeah, just vibing, glow sticks, just alone. Just like, just feeling my, you know, just like, but I was like, I don't know why that happens. I was like, did you ever do that? Do you do that a lot? Do you just randomly just like drop a band out of nowhere and you're like, wait, why'd I do that? Was it because I hated it?
Yeah, no, it's just, you know, things go in and out of rotation for me. I tend to be like a pretty obsessive listener. So if I'm really into something, like I said, all I listen to right now is Erykah Badu, Joni Mitchell, and that kind of stuff. So I'll listen to stuff for like over and over and over for 2-3 months, and then I just won't listen to it again for 2 years. You know, it's weird, the consumption of music and the way that goes. But hey, man, it is what it is. There's a lot of music out there that's good.
Yeah. I feel like you can only listen to the amount of music unless you do what Henry Rollins does, which he actually makes a schedule to listen to new music. He's like, okay, I listened to this once. Now the next song I listen, and then on Sunday says it's his candy day. That's when he re-listens to music. I'm like, you made another job just to listen to tunes? Like he just sits in his living room just listening. It's just like, okay.
Holy shit.
Candy day. I was like, I might have to do that because like I'm running out of mental space, because then I keep going back to old records. I'm like, no, fuck, I gotta go to the new one. But this old one's awesome.
That's that is a thing for me too. Like I still listen to a lot of stuff that I've listened to for the last like 10 or 15 years. You know, I do find new bands that I really love and I obsess over, but I definitely like get nostalgic a lot, and I'm still listening to a lot of the same shit. So
dude, I heard Slipknot, my New Abortion, and I just had such memories of like early, like middle school, kind of like early high school. Like all that nostalgia came back after hearing Slipknot, because like I haven't heard that song forever. Like, you know, right now I've been focusing on their latest album or something like that. I heard that, I was like, oh my god, I remember this. This is great.
Remember music? Remember this song? Yeah, it's crazy that happens. Like I think I do that with Bleeding Through. Love Lost in Slow Motion, or what was it? Love in Slow Motion. That chorus got stuck in my head for like 8 years after I listened to it. And I was like,
are you talking about Love Lost in a Hail of Gunfire?
Or that one too. Yeah.
There's another one that's Love in Slow Motion.
Yeah, that one.
Truth, right? It's on the Truth.
Yeah, my brother sent that to me on AIM. Yeah, on AIM, and he's like, "Dude, listen to this shit." I was like, "This is awesome." And then like I'd listen to them here and there, and I never got an album. I just had that song. So like 5 years went by. I was like, what is this chorus? It's like, oh my god! I just went through my music file. I was like, there it is! Like, holy shit! I was like, I can't believe it.
Bleeding Through was my shit back in the day. Oh man, love that.
It blows my freaking mind that like you could be too early with a genre of music and it just fucks you over somehow, even though you're sick. Like Bleeding Through, I feel like was too early for them. Like they just like they're so good, yet they just got overlooked like weirdly.
Well, I don't know if that's totally true though, because Bleeding Through was fucking huge. Like when I was I would say around the time I was 19, so probably like 07, 08, like they were touring in a bus and shit. However, like I was talking about, like the band momentum thing, people stopped losing momentum, and I feel like that's where they really like kind of fall off. Because Naveen has told me like there was this time when metal didn't really go to House of Blues, right? So Unearth was really the first band to take tours to House of Blues, and the tour was Unearth, Bleeding Through, Through the Eyes of the Dead, Animosity.
Jeez.
And like Bleeding Through was fucking huge at that time. And Naveen has told me like people would congratulate him for getting on that tour and stuff. It was a really, really fucking big deal. But it is amazing, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, how a band can be so huge for like a moment in time, and then 10 years later they're like barely anyone, like the young kids, I would be really surprised if a lot of them know who Bleeding Through is.
I have no idea, guarantee.
Yeah, it's crazy, because to me that's like shit I grew up on, you know?
Yeah. Well, Lamb of God, like literally, I think I was like, I do reactions and I do like a stream, and I was like, I just did a stream where I was listening to music and there was just some random people in my stream. And I just showed them Lamb of God, and they're like, oh, this is my dad's music. Like I never even listened. I'm like, you're into metal. And they're like, that side, like Gojira even. I'm like these are not, like Gojira just kind of got famous. Like they've been around a long time, but like they've now hitting their stride now. It's like, you don't know about them? I was like, what? You listen to metal though? I was just like, what? It's also like, because metal's so huge too. People can literally just sit in industrial and they're like, yeah, I listen to metal. It's like, I barely even know Slayer. It's like, what do you mean? Like, so it's like, or just a big band. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, it is weird. And I mean, you know, I'm going to be 32 in September. So it's like a lot of people around my age have 12, 13-year-old kids. And a lot of the music that I grew up on, is their parents' music, you know? So it's like,
it's nice.
Yeah. I mean, all that like deathcore, MySpace era deathcore, that's like long gone at this point. And those were the shows that I was going to once, twice a week back in the day. It's crazy how things change.
Well, also, I will say, I was kind of looking back at some of the old music, like not even just late 2000s. Mm-hmm. Like, man, I'm kind of glad that hairstyle died, though. Whatever that weird bang thing that was kind of in the scene, and then kind of like deathcore kind of had it. I was like, man, I know everyone's like, oh, I'm embarrassed as a kid. I'm like, that was maybe the worst hairstyle I've ever seen in my life. I was like, thank God I didn't take that. I listened to the music and it was fun. It was a good time. But I was like, how many people can have like that weird hair metal, but like scene bang thing? I was like, what the fuck? Did you do anything?
Did you ask me if I did that?
Yeah. Did you ever do some crazy style, or you just kept long hair and just kept strong throughout the crazy hairstyles?
You know, I think I had like bangs that were reminiscent of it, but I was never a scene queen. I've always been like a band.
That's great.
You know, I've been in bands since I was like 13 years old. So I've always been like band shirt, that type of person. Like I was never a scene queen. Always kept it pretty real.
Yeah, it's brutal, because I like watching some of these videos. I'm like, dude, I just remember being like, yeah, this is what people look like. I look back now, I'm like, man, good thing our friend Brian, shout out Brian. Yeah, your fucking hair was ridiculous back in the day. I'm so glad it's gone.
So many of my friends were like that too, man. And the one thing I really remember is like super big dudes would be in the tightest skinny jeans of all time. And then they would have like a muffin top hanging over like incredibly tight skinny jeans. I'm like, fuck, man, that doesn't look comfortable at all.
No.
With the worst kind of belt for that, a studded belt. So it's just biting into your muffin top too. It's not even just like, it's like, oh, it's awesome. I'm uncomfortable and possibly getting marks on my sides. Awesome. So happy. Yeah.
Well, this seems like a good time to go into our segment we like to call the 3 random silly questions segment. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All
right. Well, first one's pretty good. It's best tour prank you've witnessed or been a part of.
Okay. best tour prank. I didn't really witness it, and I can't remember which guy in Revocation this happened to, but it was our very first tour with Entheos. And someone had fallen asleep in the Revo van after we played this venue in El Paso. And like the rest of Revocation took a bunch of garbage and just threw it all over the van and inside of the van, from what I remember. And that was pretty weird. Yeah, dude, I don't know. It's hard for me to think of tour pranks because tour is just so fucking weird anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any crazy good tour prank type story, but just...
It goes to share anything that you thought was like weird or unusual too.
I don't even know. Nothing's really coming to mind. So nothing. I don't think anything crazy as of right now. I mean, on that same tour though, Revocation didn't have air conditioning, and it was the dead of summer, and they tried to make this like air conditioning contraption with a bucket and what's that stuff that you spray in your walls and it expands?
Is it like foam of some sort, or like?
Yeah, it's like that foam stuff. So they tried to make an air conditioning unit with the foam and then like a pole coming out of a bucket that had ice water in it or something. And they did it, and then all of the foam just sprayed all over their entire van. And yeah, I mean, there's just weird shit like that happens every day.
Sounds brutal.
I want to get them on the show now to ask about that. Like, what? That seems so crazy.
You should absolutely. Revocation are, especially Brett, they're just crazy and funny and amazing. They're like one of my favorite bands that we've toured with. Just one of my favorite group of dudes. They're awesome and they're cool. So.
Yo, dude, that's gangster though. I would give up, man. I would never even think to get that. I guess I'm not I don't have much ingenuity, because I would just be like, I guess we're gonna smell for a month and possibly have a heat stroke. Like, this is our life.
I let the dudes handle any. I'm not like I'm not like a mechanic type or so I let everyone else kind of handle that shit. We're gonna build an air conditioning unit. I'm not gonna be the one building it.
Damn. I passed
Peace.
that along.
I'm out of here. You guys handle it.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Next question. What's their biggest pet peeve?
I don't really have very many pet peeves, honestly. My fiance tells me that nothing annoys me. But you know what really fucking annoys me? Lately it's been, okay, so I've heard people say, it's when people say weird things like weird bands are overrated. Like saying that the Beatles are overrated. How can the Beatles be overrated when they created so many things? Or like saying that Corpse Grinder is an overrated vocalist. If you can't call Corpse Grinder an overrated vocalist because he's like one of the first people to ever do it, really. I mean, Chris Martin, yeah, whatever. Anyone who came before him. But I think that people use the term overrated in a really fucking weird way that I don't agree with.
1000% agree.
Yeah, so that's probably my only pet peeve that I have is people using overrated and underrated in weird ways.
So I'm going to put a shot in the dark and assume you probably think the same. What about sellout too? You think people overuse that word too, that phrase?
Yeah.
Oh, they got a little money. They're sold out. It's like they're still doing exactly what they were doing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like all that shit is so stupid, and it's just stuff that a 14-year-old would say. You know, it doesn't have any real bearing in the real world. Oh, they sold out? You mean they're making money off of their art and like able to live off of it, and they're 40 years old? It's like, wouldn't it be more selling out for them to say fuck this band because we aren't making enough money off of it and go home and have a job? Like, yeah, the selling out thing doesn't.
It's goofy. I never really thought of having kids, but I will say I thought of having a kid just to train the kid in fighting. And when 14-year-olds or younger kids than me say some bullshit like that, I'm just like, go out there, Punisher. Ding, ding. Start it off. Punish these people. It's like Chris knows, I lose my mind every time. Actually, he breaks my balls, and he always tries to jokingly tell me that my band's over. I'm like, shut the fuck up. It's not true. I'll lose my mind. I'm like, I can't handle it.
Yep.
It's like, especially someone on the outside, just like, no, they're not. They're just making good music. All right, regardless.
Question number 3. Oh yeah, this one's just funny because we had it on the podcast before. Denny's or IHOP?
I'm going Denny's. I'm
Yes!
going Leonard's
Yes!
all the way.
Yeah!
You know?
I'm so happy.
Yeah, I mean, we call it Leonard's on tour too. So like, Lenny's just like if you hop in there at 1 o'clock in the morning after the show's over, sometimes you'll just get treated. You'll get the perfect waiter who should be working at a 5-star Michelin or a Michelin 5-star restaurant, whatever. And it just hits so well that they'll bring you mozzarella cheese sticks, and you can also get pancakes, or you can get a Boca burger or whatever the fuck you want. I just have a lot of good stories from Leonard's too. So IHOP isn't. I don't think we've ever gone to IHOP once on tour in this band.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Chris, leave the chat.
Yeah, right.
you lost.
Are you more of an IHOP fan, Chris?
Kind of. I mean, I don't hate Denny's as much as Black Crown Initiate, but yeah, no, I rather IHOP, to be honest. Actually, I never had the Denny's Grand Slam though. Jesse keeps raving
It's
about
amazing.
that.
You have everything. Of course, it's not a good breakfast because it ruins the rest of your day. Because I literally fall asleep immediately at 9 a.m. if I have it. But I'm just like, well, it's time. It's time to do it. It's America's Diner, bro. Have some respect.
I'm also the guy who orders a burger at IHOP too.
Oh shit! I've heard aren't they like a burger place now or something?
No,
They've been adding more. I heard. Like, don't they have like actual sandwiches too now?
Oh really?
Yeah,
but you know, really, do you guys fuck with Cracker Barrel?
Yes, if we're around. Well, it's not really around us, but when I'm down south, yeah.
Cracker Barrel is top tier. I would rather go there over.
Because it's so cheap. You get so much food for so cheap.
And it's like down home, you know, and they call you hun. You just feel like I feel like I'm really like doing the Southern thing if I'm in Cracker Barrel. And I like the store as well. I like to shop around.
Dude, my sister always goes every time, like when we were with her, she would shop around there for like while we were waiting to get seated. It's a perfect, like, it's a smart business move, to be honest. It's like, oh, you have to wait 30 minutes. Like, oh, no problem. We have a gift store.
I know, exactly. I love that gift store. So yeah, I'm going Cracker Barrel.
There we go. Oh, the third one. Edit the question, Chris. Edit the question. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I always been way. I don't know. I just added that because we begin random arguments with people because I'll just randomly mention Denny's, and then if you're talking to someone who likes IHOP, they're just like, "You're an idiot."
I'm
like,
salad.
Like what? They're just like fast food chain breakfast places. I don't know what you're. Like.
You know what? IHOP does have that syrup platter that they bring you, so that it's good for that.
Oh yeah.
Syrup, yeah.
All right, Chris, take it down a notch. Yes, blueberry.
Oh, Chris, what?
Maple.
Get a little pornographic up in there.
Jesus Christ. Well, luckily, it's the end of the show.
We know what Chris is doing after.
Fucking
damn. You guys know me too well now.
Embarrassing. Also, because your phone's downward, your eyes are kind of closed, and you're just like, yeah. Fucking syrup, dude. Fucking syrup.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Unbelievable. All right, well, that was the 3. Actually, Chris, that's your job. Segue out of the 3.
The random silly question segment. Hope you enjoyed that.
I love it.
That was fun. Okay, so what upcoming plans do you guys have, Entheos? Anything you want to share to the fans for them to look forward to?
I think I've pretty much covered it all. We're just working really hard writing right now. So next year, we're definitely going to be putting a new album out, and we're really excited about it. So look forward to that.
Are we getting like a lyric video or music video or something of the sort?
Definitely music video. I don't think I will ever put out another lyric video if I have anything to do with it. I don't like lyric videos. I'd rather put out a music video and write the lyrics in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the move, yeah.
I know bands have been doing it just for extra exposure, because sometimes if you noticed, so like a band will put out a single and they put out a lyric video, they get double press from it online. I've noticed that so many times. And then when they put that the music video, they get more press for that song.
Totally.
So.
I think I'd rather just put out a plain old visualizer or something. I don't know. I've never really been into the lyric video thing. And, you know, I mean, no offense to anyone who has chosen to do that. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Headline: if you put a lyric video out, get out.
Chaney
Chaney
Crabb, you. She thinks you suck.
Also, it's the worst. If you're a fast screamer, rapper, singer, maybe my eyes don't work probably, but every time they do like the crazy sideways words as they're just like coming down really quick, I'm like, I can't even read the fucking lyrics.
Exactly. It's like, no. Yeah.
It's almost like word Mortal Kombat. I was just like, is someone winning? It's like a Transformer movie. I'm like, I don't know who's winning, but I guess we'll find out in 20.
Like, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining the show before we get kicked out again.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me. It's been fun.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, this
Come
is a
back
blast.
anytime. It's going to be
Always
awesome.
yeah.
welcome.
Hell yeah. Ask me whenever. I love talking, as I'm sure you can tell from this. But yeah, hell yeah. Have a good day. I'm going to go drink some beer.
I'll get after it. See you,
That's
pal.
awesome.
Fuck yeah. All right.
Have a
see
good
you.
one. Thanks.
And welcome back to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience podcast. Your host, Chris. Got Jesse here. What's up?
Back. How's it going? We're
And
back.
hope you guys enjoyed that nice little Entheos interview with Chaney Crabb, vocalist, duo, part 1, part 2. I thought that was really cool with the duo thing, that they're going forward with that. That was really cool because you don't see a lot of bands do that. I mean, in their circumstance, it makes sense, but I guess every band can't really do that.
Yeah, well, it's also like that's the thing. Like after, because obviously you're watching this part because we just finished the interview portion. But like most bands, I feel like you kind of make up for each other's weaknesses. And when you have most of the things done with just 2 people, I guess technically it doesn't matter because everyone doing the productive part of the band is working together. Like, is in there. It's not like Entheos had 2 really other talented members that were like writing a bunch and then they're randomly just gone. So it's like, oh no, like the songwriter is gone. You know, and it's like, oh shit, like a kill switch if like Adam D just left. It'd be like, oh no, wait a minute. Actually, Times of
He's
Grace,
everything.
perfect example. Adam D and just Jesse. They're the 2 main people in the band. And then the other people came in and toured with them after those 2 wrote it.
I think, though, on this record, Adam didn't do the drums, right?
Well, no, I guess they're probably going to go with, because I saw them in the instrumental version. They redid the Forgotten one, and the drummer was there. So I'm guessing, sorry, I don't know your name, dude. I'm sorry, just referring to you, the percussionist. But yeah, like it seems like I guess they're going with whoever was touring with them, and they're just in the band now.
Didn't Joel tour with them, too?
At the end, because the guitarist left, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think in the end, did Mike do it too? Whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah, no, it's interesting. So when you got the 2 dynamics like that, where, you know, she said best herself, they're like yin and yang. Like literally, he handles all these parts, she handles those parts, and they come together to make the music. Which is also super interesting because of how technical and like interesting that band is. So it's super cool. I like it.
Super dope, and I can't wait for the record. I mean, I can't believe it's been 3 years since Dark Futures came out, because that was something I was spinning a lot on my show, if you guys remember. And they were on Spine Farm, and now they're going to find their own label. They're either going to do it themselves or look for labels, whatever fits best for them. So that'd be cool. I can't wait. Did you get to hear the nice little clip of new music they put on, I think it was Instagram or one of their social medias?
I don't remember. I've been living in a world of audio files for the last like week, so I can't remember. I just been clicking play on everything.
I mean, it was like a month ago, but
Oh,
Anyway,
stop
yeah,
calling me out on the show.
but yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's shaping up to be awesome. I mean, the track they released before, Remember You Are Dust, was pretty good. I think that was in April they released that. So whatever they have coming forward is going to be great. And I'm really interested in hearing how her clean vocals sound.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Cool. Also, just some of the
Cool.
influences she said. It's like, oh shit. Like she mentioned, like what was it? Freaking Cynic and Erykah Badu. Like,
The voice coder thing made total sense when she said she was a fan of Cynic and Paul and all that, because majority of the stuff he does is through a voice coder. So, I mean,
I thought it was like a weird. That's voice coder. I thought
Pretty
that
sure,
was.
yeah.
I thought. Well, I guess maybe voice coder is the thing, and you add effects to it. But I thought it was like what the fuck's it called? What's the pitch correction? Auto-tune. That was like a form of auto-tune he did. Even though he literally doesn't need it, because on the carbon-based anatomy EP.
I mean, you could probably look it up.
Yeah, either way. That's going to be awesome. Those 2 influences are awesome. she was super fun. The music's great, and I'm happy they're going to continue on strong. Because sometimes, like, you know, when everyone leaves the band or whatever for certain reasons,
Yeah.
it's always scary.
Right,
It's
you
like,
can't do it anymore.
yeah, I don't want fucking. And then they just fucking were two adults, and they're like, well, it's time to be adults, pay
Power
taxes,
forward.
and fucking make metal music. Could be awesome. I'm excited. Actually, I guess we could talk about this because I'm actually curious. Do you know what happened with the Spotify thing? Because I read an article or two, and I was kind of confused. Did something get announced, or did the guy just do an interview and everyone took the interview out of context?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, so basically the Spotify CEO did a interview with Music Alley. It was like a podcast interview kind of thing. And he kind of like said some controversial stuff, but I feel like a lot of what he said was taken out of context. So like I'll read a direct quote right now. Actually, Keith Buckley responded to it, which was pretty cool. I don't know if you saw
literally
that.
everyone responded to it. I didn't see his. I saw a few
So
artists. But I saw what's his favorite? What's the guy? Twisted Sister, D. Snyder. I saw D. Snyder and Jamie Josta both tweet at it. But then I read the article and it didn't make sense because it didn't announce anything. It was just an interview, and also I felt like it was kind of. Actually, you read it. Do your thing first.
Well, I was just going to read the quote because this has usually been the headline, and this is the exact quote the guy said. He said, "There is a narrative fallacy here, combined with the fact that obviously some artists that used to do well in the past may not do well in this future landscape, where you can't record music once every 3 to 4 years and think that's going to be enough." And I kind of do agree with that, though, right? I feel like if you want to stay relevant and you want to keep making money, keep putting out products.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing about what this guy did. Because, I don't know, the article I read confused me because they said something back in 2017. Someone wrote an article about Spotify and said it's not just a flat rate per play unless, like, you have, like, because I always thought, this is how I thought Spotify was. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to say, I thought you got 0.4 cents or what the fuck ever, for a play, unless you had like a bigger band and you had a deal. Like I think some of the bigger artists have a personal deal, so they get a little bit more.
Yeah, I heard it depends on the label deal.
What this person in this article said, that it's based off, it's like plays are based off of the top track plays. So like it's based off, somehow they do like an algorithm based off, like let's say Bruno Mars has like a couple hundred fucking million streams. Like your streams of like 1,000 on your song are like worked against each other and they come up with the amount they give you. And I was like, one, that's confusing as shit. It sounds like a lot of ways to get around that. Like get more money maybe. I don't fucking know. But also, it's just confusing me. Did you hear anything about that?
No, I didn't hear that.
Very confused. Actually, I'll read the actual quote. Yeah, because it was confusing because I also have another thing to say about Spotify because I think I like not defending Spotify here. This also upsets me because, again, you know me. I think Spotify is the best streaming platform. I just wish, more bands got more money out of,
Yeah, they usually get the flack for being the most popular and the one that has like the most bands and content and songs on it, but they always pay their artists the least amount.
So this is Okay, so this is the article. So this is the thing I read. Spotify's stock value hit an all-time highs of $50 billion this summer. Even as questions about the streaming platform's compensation of artists remain unresolved. Royalties on Spotify and Apple Music are determined on a, quote, pro rata basis. Payment on each particular song is based on how much the song is streamed in comparison with the platform's most popular tracks. This results in the tiniest of payouts for most independent musicians. So I don't really understand that. I didn't know that was the thing, but this is from an article from 2017.
Where was the article?
It's from the Baffler. Let me send this to you. I'll send you both.
That's interesting. I didn't know.
Yeah, because that's quoted in this article. The Fader released an article about it, which also, can people stop putting once every 3 to 4 years quote? It was not what I thought he said. I thought he was penalizing people I thought Spotify was going to penalize people for not releasing content ever. Like he's just talking about you're going to lose steam in general because people aren't going to focus on it. That is not a fucking bad quote. Like, let's be honest. That's just disingenuous. It's not. It's just true. Like, literally, it's why people don't release singles far away from their album because they have to keep the momentum until their album comes out. And you don't want to, it's almost like a fighter in a fight camp preparing. He's got to peak at a certain level or else he gets to the fight and it sucks. If you release too many songs or not enough songs or don't do enough and your album comes out, all of a sudden all your buys are not there. It's like, what the fuck? And, but what do you think about that pro rata thing? Does that kind of confusing, right?
That is confusing, and if that is the case, that really sucks. That really is bad. I mean, the way I thought it worked was that it, like, everyone got like a fixed amount of like whatever it says, like 0.0 points whatever for, and then like I heard labels and they're big enough, like Warner and stuff like that, they were able to negotiate a different amount for their albums and their bands.
Yeah, that's exactly the same way I thought. I thought that was just how it was, and I thought it just sucked that, whatever. But it's just confusing. And also, I guess this could be fun to talk about, and then, we'll wrap up. But I saw a lot of tweets blaming Spotify for the collapse of the music industry, and I think people conveniently forgot piracy, that piracy was around a lot longer than fucking streaming services.
A lot longer.
Now, did streaming services help? Like, no, they didn't. And actually, here's a fucked up thing. I watched an interview on, again, the Punk Rock MBA. He interviewed Our Last Night, the brothers. They do like the covers on YouTube and stuff, and they're like make music. And they talked about Spotify in the sense that, weirdly, because of piracy, no one made money from their music. You had to go on tour and T-shirts. You didn't make money from your record. But because of Spotify and like the payout services of the streaming platforms, even though you get pennies, actually even under pennies, you get pieces of pennies. They made it so you get money for your plays. Now we can't argue. I agree. It should be more money. Like that's a fact, yeah. But it's like weirdly like, it's a weird place. But I saw a lot of people like blaming Spotify. This is why the record companies collapsed. It's like, no, it's not. They were like around. They weren't around when that happened. Like, I feel like it happened back in like 2009 and 10. Like, right? Didn't you? Yeah. We went to concerts. We heard them say progressive. I jokingly said this to a friend. I was like, every concert you heard, like bands' narratives change. It started like, hey, if you fucking steal music, fucking, go buy CDs. Next concert. Hey, if you could you, if you have to download it, just listen. Hey, if you can just play the song outside your window and hopefully someone hears it. Hey, can you just, like, we'll give it to you. Like at the, just like every single, it's like bands like kept like trying, because it's like, yeah, fuck you, pay me for my music. But then it just like bands started realizing it's like, I guess we kind of have to like go along with it. Because, like, you don't want to be the asshole bands like, oh, they're greedy because they want us to buy a CD. It's like, it's fucked up, man. Like, you went to the concerts with me. We started going to concerts almost around the same time. It's like, I noticed that.
It's true. Yeah, because a lot of bands now, whenever you see them live, they're like, we have all our merch and CD. You can grab it right now. Or, just, I don't care how you get it. Just listen to it. And you're like,
yeah.
Okay.
And it sucks. And, but it's interesting. But, like, have you noticed that? Like, I've just noticed people, like, just forget about piracy. Like, they just seem to forget,
Well, piracy is still around, too, though.
I mean, took that down because now you don't have to go to a creepy website to download files that you have to move onto your phone. Now you just go on your phone. Like, literally, our freaking dickhead friend, I'm not going to name his name, but I offered a free download of an album. He's like, well, I already have a copy of it, too. Spotify. Oh. I was like, whatever, dude. I just got this extra download code.
Yeah.
Fucking asshole. But yeah, also, I guess no one ever fucking ran out of the internet, like, while driving on, like, these back roads of these highways where you just run out of internet. And then it sucks. Your music just shuts off. And I was like, good thing I got some music loaded up on my phone so I could actually continue listening to music.
Yeah, that was always the thing about me. I'm like, I don't want to have internet wherever I go to listen to music, Yeah. And I wish I had a phone that had better battery life because I can't. Like, it happened the other day. My phone was dying, but luckily I had my MP3 player where I was able to listen to all the music I wanted. And vice versa, too. Like, when my MP3 player died, I was like, all right, I have my phone to hold me off.
Yeah, I get that phone case with the battery.
Yeah, right. I remember those.
Yeah, I always got afraid. They're like plastics. I was like, do they really protect your phone? But they.
Speaking of phones, did you see the new phones that flip open with 2 screens? Charlie actually got that.
That's $2,000.
Well, it was the LG one, so I'm assuming it wasn't.
It was $500.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So it has like 2 screens and it flips completely.
Yeah, it becomes like a mini tablet when it flips
Yeah.
open. Yeah, no, the Samsung was trying to do that. Samsung and Huawei made that. Huawei, whatever.
Hawaii.
Huawei, I think that's what it's called. The Chinese phone company. But yeah, those are nuts. I don't understand. Honestly, I wish I could just be like our friend Brian. He just doesn't have a case, even though he's the goofiest motherfucker I've ever met in my life. But like, you know,
Whoops.
yeah, like the phone feels amazing. Someone broke this down in a podcast. It's like, dude, you know, this is like a marvel of technology, right? Just flex on people. Look at my phone. But like, this case is cool. But like, when you hold the phone in your hand, isn't it amazingly amazing? Isn't it amazing how it feels in your fucking hand when you take it out of the box the first time? It's like that piece of metal. You're like, holy shit, this feels awesome. But it's super slippery, and you're like, I paid $1,000 for this. I'm going to be ending up paying $1,000 for this because most people pay it off. It's like, I'm putting this in a safe. Like me, you know me, I buy the Otter boxes. The only reason I switched out because it's too fucking big. But I usually buy like the Otter boxes and keep it in like a containment zone for 3 years.
Free ads.
Yeah, Otterbox. Buy Otterbox. I don't know. I thought. I guess we're on agreement. There's not too much of an argument. Yeah, like I thought people kind of misread what the CEO of Spotify said. I don't agree. I don't like what he said, but I didn't take it as he was attacking artists.
No, he wasn't, and he has a point. You know, if like what kind of brand stops making stuff for 4 years? You know what I mean? I mean, yes, it's really hard for musicians to just keep pumping out music every year and stuff like that. I totally understand their point of view too, but he does too. Like, you know, because another band would take that place.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't know how I feel. I'm just kind of wanting, you know, not to, no one take this out of context. I just kind of want. I don't think what he said is overly inflammatory. I think it's because they use it in headlines like fucking asshole clickbaity people are, like we're gonna do with our Instagram post. I'm kidding. It's like Metal Teddy Bear Experience talking about Spotify. It's just like, hey, baby, we got to make money. No, I'm kidding. We don't make But, like, besides that, it's like, I just wish they paid more. Like, dude, they have the best product for streaming. Like, I love streaming for the fact that all my music, I can listen to any song I want. But I'm not going to lie. I think I would take a hit if you know, CDs or something came back, or I don't know what the fuck. If people had to buy, it's tough because then they would just go back to piracy. Piracy took a hit for music anyways when streaming happened because people don't. I don't even need to do the research. You're like, where do you get your numbers? I'm just assuming because I talk to people who don't know much about computers and they're afraid of every website. People don't know how to go through these shady websites, Pirate Bay, whatever I don't even know. I've stopped piracy a long time ago. So like, you know, I understand, but it's like, I don't know what you could do because this is like kind of thing. I just think people need to get better deals or figure out ways to do it because I don't even think Spotify is making money. Like their stocks are really high, but I'm pretty sure they're always at a loss because they're paying these enormous deals to the record labels, right?
Yeah, I heard they either take a loss or they make even. Like they're not profiting.
Which is crazy, but it's like it makes sense. Like I don't understand how Netflix and all these people make money because like I'm assuming the deals they make with the companies for the products are a lot of money.
That's a whole different pay scale, though.
Yeah, but like they make their own stuff too. That's the one thing I saw. Like everybody, like Dean Snyder said, "Why don't you try making fucking music?" Which I thought was pretty aggressive towards the guy, especially because he looks like kind of like Baby Huey. Like I don't know what the like, but you know, I think the headlines were brutal. I think this is like clickbait shit show. I know, but this like specifically. Like after I read it, I was very confused.
Yeah, when I saw the headline, I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, it's still, like, the fact that I guess people don't like that he said it, but he didn't say, like I said, I think we agreed. I thought it meant, like, oh, we're going to penalize people for not. I was like, oh, my God. Like, that is a fucking development. I was like, that's fucked up. Oh, you didn't release the music in the last year? We're pushing you down the playlist. You're not allowed in. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's goofy, but I just wanted to talk about that because.
Well, I guess this is the part where we wrap up the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed listening. Remember, new episodes come out every Thursday. So if you're listening to this on I don't know what day, Thursday, new episode, it shall be dropped. And then Jesse, my boy over here, does some React stuffs. Tell us what that's about.
Yeah, I do reaction stuff. YouTube.com/Insid. YouTube.com. Go look up Insid. I forgot the URL. Is it Insid1? YouTube.com/C/Insid1. There we go. Yeah, on YouTube I do reactions. I have actually my first drum cover, I think, basically completed. Speaking of covers, I'm gonna be without creating my music covered. I'm not gonna say what it is, but go check it out. It should be released next week. And yeah, I'm gonna be streaming more. I figured out a way to stream Twitch drums. I can't talk. Blah. I figured out a way to stream drums on Twitch. Like, it's a little haphazard, a little shitty, but you can hear the drums good. And I'm gonna start doing that more, and continue doing this podcast with my lovely friend over here.
Yeah, definitely. And I still do my radio show Tuesday nights, 90.3 WMSC.
Up in Montclair.
With my boy Aram. So you can check that out Tuesday nights, 7 to 10. And again, all the socials will be in the description below. So if you want to follow us, keep up to date with stuff, and see nice little clips of stuff, yeah, just follow there.
It was awesome. All right,
Yeah.
go.
Until next time, my friends, keep it
Keep it
real.
real.